I'm called down in Warwick. My presidium is the same as Sister Barbara's, Lady of the Snows in Warwick. And just for a minute, just connecting with what Sister Dot said about being a conciliar officer. Last November, I was just a regular presidium member. And,
Brother, can you hold it a little bit closer?
And without any
That's
thought
better.
of becoming anything more than just being very happy in my presidium. And somebody asked, if your name was put forward, would you accept to be the president of the Curia? I said, oh, I've only been here 2 years. You really think that I could do this sort of thing? Well, maybe innocence is bliss. But also, I was thinking exactly what Our Lady herself was asked.
Right.
She didn't say no. She said yes and changed everything for us. And so in a very small way, anybody who is asked to take a step up or take a step forward, it certainly is a call. And it's a call directly from our Blessed Mother. And so to answer the call, how can you say no? So that's sort of a little bit of my background. The topic this afternoon is, are our works challenging? Now, the speaker, who presumably prepared a lot for this, unfortunately with the death in the family, couldn't be here, so again, the call was, can you fill in? So, once again, these calls will come through all our lives all the time, and we just have to try to respond in the most positive way. But another way of looking at that perhaps is heroic works that the Legion engages in. And if the first of the 3 C's, which I'm sure you're familiar with in the reports that you see, conversion is really uppermost in Frank Duff's mind when he was actually working out his handbook, figuring out what he's going to put in there and so forth. And there are reasons for that being, because that is probably the most difficult, the most challenging for any one of us. And if you look at chapter 37, chapter 37, number 6, I think it's 8 and 9. Those 2 things that he mentioned were book barrows and apostolate to the crowd. Now that's a pretty broad field of activity and work. But if we kind of boil it down a little bit to something more closely that we can identify with, book barrows, now I'm not sure, I've never seen one. I know that they existed. Or do exist, and they can be very effective. It kind of reminds me in Paris where you see all these book-stalls along the Seine and all these wonderful books you can browse through and so forth. Same idea, that people who are total strangers to the Catholic faith or whatever browse through, and then, of course, you can talk to them. Now, in this connection of heroic works, personal contact is, if you're going to be PC, that's really something very, very important, because that's really the key. If you're talking one-on-one or if you're talking to a group. So that idea of personal contact really runs through almost everything we do in the Legion. But especially when we talk about works that are more difficult, more daunting, and certainly here are some of them. Door to door. That certainly is something we understand what it is. Now, I understand when the Legion in Rhode Island, which long precedes me, one of the early comitium presidents, who's now, I guess, about 80, she went door to door in lower class, if you want to call it that, neighborhoods, people who are really down and out, almost slum type of areas. They would go door to door, cold turkey, knock on doors and try to spread the word, try to spread the message of Jesus. And so that to me is really tough. I can't imagine myself doing that. But if I was called and maybe if I had support, I would probably engage in that too. But Sister Dot did mention days of evangelization, which is door to door. And there, one can go out in twos. Everything to be done in twos is exactly what Frank Duff talks about. So if you think about going out with in twos, and our experience down there in Rhode Island has been, it's a wonderful way of spreading the faith to people who are Catholic, to people who are not. I think that was mentioned too. To total strangers who, yes, the door has been slammed shut. People are in pain out there. But I never forget, some of the reaction was that I've received is, oh, you're just like Jehovah's Witnesses. The Catholic Church does this. Maybe it doesn't do enough of it. And that's one of the things that we can look at to do more of. But again, it takes some numbers to do that. And when we have our experience of days of evangelization, we work in a parish, and sometimes 70 or 80 volunteers from all over different parishes come and join in that parish's activities. And we go door by door, and sometimes hundreds of homes are contacted in the